Welcome to the ladies' room.
Divestment. So I learned recently that on the or in the YouTube community, there are channels um, that specifically teach people to date out of their race. So I think that I don't know if well, I know one girl is named oh, I forget her name, but she has a popular YouTube channel, and I think she's called like Pink Pill or something like that. Her name's I forget her name. I need to look it up.
Crystalline.
Yeah, Chrislyn. Chrislyn. She's very adamant about Black women dating outside of their race, and I know we've heard it a lot from Black men. There was the whole go to Brazil movement, so to speak, for at one point where a lot of Black men were talking about going to Brazil to find their wives, or China or Asia, anywhere in Asia. So there's like this movement, they call it divestment, that refers to exclusively dating outside of your race. And I want to know what you all think about that. Is it a yes or a no? Why or why not? And basically, is that a solution for people in our community?
I think first the thing is that in those spaces, first of all, you have to define divestment, because I don't think that that's how most of them define divestment, as
Okay.
exclusively dating outside of your race. I think
Okay.
that, like, when you look at the word divestment, right, it's the opposite of investing. So I think that is more so about the fact that Black women have been so heavily invested in the community and feel like they haven't gotten a return on that investment. So it's like permission to divest from it. Now, it doesn't
Okay.
say, it's not the same thing as being like, ooh, go get some of these good men over here. And like, it's not the same
Got
thing.
it.
It's saying, stop being so hyper focused and putting all your energy and effort there. And one of the things that I know that they say all the time is go where you're celebrated, not tolerated. But it's not
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
putting one group over the other. And as a matter of fact, what I do hear a lot of them say specifically in those spaces is to be careful and to be mindful not to pedestalize another group of men over anything, and to not be vocally broadcasting like, ooh, these men's is better and all
So
of that.
basically, just be open. Just be
Yeah,
open to
because
see
Right.
what
like
it
you.
does,
Okay.
yeah, because then what that does is that'll
Thank you,
that'll make
Joe.
sense. You know what I mean? Like if you broadcasting loudly and like pedestalizing this other
Yeah,
group, then they'll feel like they ain't really got to do nothing
yeah.
either. They'll
You
just be
you
like,
lessen
oh,
it. You lessen your
so yeah,
you lessen your percentage of finding that one person for you
yeah.
Yes.
when you start. You know what I'm saying, dwindling down the groups and stuff like that. You know, 'cause you never know it. A tall Black woman, her perfect match might be a short Asian. You know what I'm saying? So you don't want to like exclude any groups out. You know, you just got to be with this short dude if you want to be happy.
But I like that. I like what you all were saying. It does not make sense to exclude any race.
Right,
If
When
you're
you
in
really
a
concerned
goal
about
to be married,
happiness, really.
it doesn't make sense to exclude a race. You're just lessening your chances. You just never know. Now I
right.
know that there are some pro-Black people that are like, well, no, just stay in the community, and I understand their reasons why. But if you're excluding any one race, you're
Shit.
obviously
I don't understand
lowering
the
your
reasons
chances.
I wouldn't have
why.
got me a
And
white woman. I wouldn't have got
I
me a
don't
white
understand.
wife.
I what? What did you just say?
I wouldn't have got me. You know, I'd be calling you white.
Especially
Anyway,
just your
I
Wait,
don't know
name.
what? What? You call Cannon white?
Yeah,
What?
I don't know what just happened, but okay. But
Oh Lord. Okay.
I told y'all I didn't know what was gonna happen today, so we just gonna keep going.
Oh
that was
Lord.
an inside thing. She trying to act kind of like she's retarded.
Oh.
But I have no clue what he's talking about. But I was about to say that the thing is that I mean, somebody could say that to like Black women like in the community or whatever, but statistically, again, what are you really saying? Like the statistics just do not align with the likelihood that a Black woman is going to find a Black man to be with this era right now. Like it's just
It's
not,
too much hurt on both
because
sides.
no, I'm not talking about her. I'm talking about numbers,
No, I'm
and I'm
just
talking
yeah,
about
no.
when
That's a part of the numbers. We
yeah,
gotta
yeah, I'm talking
think
about
about those men who have been hurt, so they're like, "Oh, I don't want
yeah,
to
but even if
deal
we
with."
let's say that we take all of that part out of it, right? And let's say we just look at numbers, specific numbers. And with the amount of men that are involved in the criminal justice system that are incarcerated, and the amount in those age groups that are no longer with us due to violence, have dwindled the numbers. That, like, it's a disproportionate number. Like, most other groups have a more 1-1 ratio of partners, and I think us is like 3-1 or something like that. So
right.
It's
so
like,
you're saying if it's 300 black men and 100 black women, it's gonna be, if they all just dated black men, it's still gonna be. I mean, 300 black women and 100 black men, it's still gonna be 200 black women that's left
that have nobody to partner.
So now
with.
they have to go out and date outside their race.
Exactly. That's why I was saying, like, just saying that.
But that's why black men say we not supposed to have one woman.
Right.
Well, that's their support for polygamy.
We supposed to have 2 or 3 women because if you didn't, y'all would be lonely. No, they just go date white men. No, they're not going to be lonely. They go date Asians and white men and Russians and all types of stuff, right?
Right. Okay.
No, so wrong. Because Dr. Umar is not going to want you.
So yeah. So I mean, I guess if that's what divestment means, then I guess that makes sense. I thought that they were like, oh, leave the brothers alone. They ain't no good. They're this, they're that. I didn't agree with that.
Yeah. I mean, I think that they're.
Now I understand. It just means don't solely invest into like.
Yeah, I think that is just like a lot of other movements where there's multiple like different. Sex and different types of. So
if we agree,
I think mostly that's the message, right. But then you have different interpretations within it.
So
I haven't heard any interpretation that isn't short-sighted or selfish, because everything is, me, and who I want to be with. But then when we talk about generational wealth, where does that go? If you got women like Candace Owens who with a white man,
it follows the woman. That's what I mean. Like statistically, the wealth follows the woman.
Right. So then,
if it's a black woman, then it comes back into the black community. No, if you read the book, Is Marriage for White People, which is one of the things that a lot of people was losing their mind about. But this book was written like 10 years ago. This Harvard professor, a black man married to a black woman, did all the research and came up with all the statistics and all the things that make sense. And he even showed how when black women marry out, they are still more invested in the community than when the opposite happens, and that the money and the wealth stays in the black community. So that's statistically what he found.
So do we count that as build a generational black wealth, or we? Because then it makes the whole biracial thing.
Yeah, because here's the thing. Okay, so I didn't read that part, so I don't know. But let's say, okay, so you say that the wealth will follow the woman. Okay, but a lot of times these women who are marrying out, right, and not just the women, the men who marry out, people who marry outside of the black race have children who typically do not marry black
people.
So
that's what I mean. If you look at his research and you look at the statistics, statistically that's not accurate. Statistically, black men who partner with white women, their children are less likely to partner black. That is not the case with biracial.
But then that's what I'm saying. Where would these black people come from? Because if all the black women,
what I'm saying is that biracial children that are raised by black women are more likely to date black.
Because black women
stay. Is what I'm saying. If everybody's divested, where's the black?
Black women stays in tune with the community, which is black. So their kids will often date black instead of white. A black man doesn't stay in tune with his community. He goes off and he thinks he's a white man now. So his kids go start dating white because they follow the white man. But a woman, she tends to still stay in touch with her blackness, basically, right?
Right. Now I've heard the whole phenomenon about the black mom versus the white mom with biracial kids, and how kids with the black mom tend to be more in tune with the community.
You gotta follow the research. I don't know. I didn't do the
research. But my worry is then like the biracial thing that we have now. You got the Zendayas and everybody that are standing in for black people, but then we're not looking at them as black people. I don't know.
I guess my question. I understand what you're saying, Raven, and I guess my question for that would then become, what is the alternative at this juncture right now for an individual?
Yeah, because I'm not getting down with polygamy. That's not going down. No.
Right. So then
We
what's
don't have.
the
It's not enough resources. I'm not. Well, I'm not.
Yeah.
Well, to get to the question,
No.
if we talking about what Cannon just said and how she explained divestment, I think that is a very good thing that's going on with you should be open to dating who likes you and who's going to treat you right and not trying to hold this standard to some people that don't deserve it. Like I think especially a lot of black women, they stay real loyal to black men that dog them out, do all types of hurtful things because they don't want to look like they're disowning their own. And I think that's a very bad way to look at things, especially when you talking about your happiness. And I think more black women and black men need to be a little bit more selfish. Well, black men are always selfish, but I think more black women need to be a little bit more selfish when it comes to their happiness and stop thinking about and stop worrying about what other people do. What other people want to say about them. So I think that's a very good. What is it? A group? What they call themselves?
No, it's just it's a
divestors,
like a
Power
it's a
Rangers.
movement.
It's a
movement.
I think that movement is great.
But but what I was gonna say to add to that point though is that the other part of it is that as a result, like if you guys read that book, it's actually really good. But as a result of having that gender imbalance, specifically in our community in Black America, because of social engineering, it's because of social engineering. I mean, we know the reasons. It's because of racism and all of those things. We know that. But the reality is that it's still that, right? And because that is the case, the other phenomenon that you run into is that the men don't necessarily have to do much to get the women because we outnumber them so much. So then you also have a situation where they're not really motivated to really,
right. It's about teaching us how to get them.
Right.
Y'all just can't be so thirsty. Y'all can't be acting thirsty.
Here we go.
We know it's a shortage. We know it's a shortage, but you can't be acting thirsty.
But I think there's some truth to that. I think there are a lot of women who just want a man.
Yeah, they be thirsty.
A lot of women just want a man. They want a warm body next to them. They want to be able to say they got a man.
And a black man specifically
put up with a lot of things
and with this
that they
movement,
shouldn't put up with. And so you do have generations of men who are like, well, look, she let me do it. Who are, and you can see this on like social media a lot where a lot of the men are like, well, they generalize women and they have these perceptions of women based off of their experiences, so it's like they're just, they're looking at what women have done in their past,
the majority of the women is acting thirsty
for this, so that's what they, attribute to all women. So it's like change change me. Why I ain't got to
right? Like, why do I have to change? There's so many more I can
exactly.
Like I have access to more women than you even like that than there even men that exist.
Which and they right, but but the change isn't about their approach to getting a woman. The change is they not understand. The change is they approach on how to keep that woman. Because they it's easy to get the woman right, but once the woman kind of figure the nigga out, like then they leave them and with a good reason. But the reason they have is really not a reason that a man is accepting, right? And because it challenges him to change, and he not going to accept that. So it's like, I just go and deal with another woman that's going to accept this until she doesn't. And then if not, I go deal with another woman. And then they that's why I have these bad stories about black women this, black women that. Because you dating the same type of woman, and they actually are good women. You just don't want to change to be a good man.
I tell people all the time, the common denominator to your failed relationships and lack of connections and just poor relationships in general in your life, you are the common denominator. Like, I want to even ask, is it divestment or are we just, are we practicing avoidance now? Because I think some people are just, they are avoiding working on themselves. Like, if you are a black man or a black woman and you've dated like 5 or 6 people within the last 2 years, it's got to be some kind of light bulb that goes off in your head. Like, maybe I need to do some things for myself. Maybe I need to make some self-change. But no, I'm going to go join a YouTube group that talks about the benefits of me divesting from a certain community. And it's like,
But see, Miss Jovo, it's not all things being equal, though. What I'm saying is that when you pull up the statistics and the culture that has been created because of the statistics, you can't say 1-1 ratio, right? So you
That's true
say
too.
okay, whether you're a black man or a black woman, it's the same environment, because it's not. Like, the environment is different for a black woman than it is for a black man. Like, the things that black or the challenges that they have are not the same, right? The black women are facing a different set of challenges, and they are actually facing real challenges on finding eligible men to be with. Like, that's it's like 1.5 million more black
It's a
women than it
challenge.
is
It
men.
is.
Yeah.
So it's like, if
And
it's
then you
1.5
gotta think
million
about
more, then I mean, like I say, it's, you just can't say it's like whether you're a black woman or a black man. It's no, because
Well, that's why I said
women that are more than
that's
the
why I
individual
asked,
group.
is it divestment for some people, or is it practicing avoidance and not working on
Right.
yourself? Because I agree, the numbers are there, but you want to be careful.
Go get into it, baby.
Yeah, because just like Darwin said, and I agree with Darwin, you know, there are a bunch of guys who are dating where they're more apt to tell you about how black women need to change, or how women in general just need to change, versus, well, what are you doing differently? Because if you're the same man showing up in 7, 8 of your relationships, I mean,
Well, you know, I
Yeah.
agree with that too. I just think that we do have to take a, like, I know I feel sometimes we get emotionally invested in the topic in a way that we kind of separate the actual reality, right?
the facts, yeah,
Actual reality
yeah,
is that there is a cultural element of the fact that black women for the longest have been more loyal race wise or loyal
yeah.
community wise,
Mhm.
which to their detriment to a certain extent for many different reasons, right? In a way that, like, on the flip side, black men have not. Black men are actually the most likely to date outside their race than any other man, and
Mhm.
black women are the least likely to date outside their race than any other woman. So what I'm
Right.
saying is, think about the environment that you create with that. It's not equal on both sides. You
Right.
create imbalance because there's already an imbalance number wise when you have crime and death and things like that. There's a literal number imbalance, and then there's a culture of that being kind of the underlying undercurrent in behavior that is driven. So then, especially even if you get like college educated black men or whatever, they're still keenly aware that the numbers are in their favor.
Right, right,
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So their
right,
behavior is
Yeah.
not going to be reflective of being competitive. They're
right.
not competitive, and they have not been competitive for
They're
us
the cream
for
of
a
the
very
crop.
long time because they have not had to be.
Yeah.
So I
So
want
Right.
to ask a
it's
I
not
question.
an
see what you're
equal
saying
environment
now.
on both sides. You see what I
Okay.
mean? On one side, it's like, but that's why the things that you're hearing when they're like, no, you need to keep accepting this. What you talking about? And we just like, nah, we kind of sick of doing that.
I
And they're
wanna
like,
ask
no,
a
what do you
question.
mean? You've been doing this, keep doing it, right? Like, what you mean? So that's like the imbalance. You know what I mean? Where it's created this environment where it's kind of like we're just expected to. No, we think about the stuff that they even say. Why they fight so hard to be like, no other group is gonna want you. Only, you know,
Oh yeah.
you know, and like that. You know what I'm saying? And it's like,
Yeah.
it's just not equal on both sides in that
Nah.
way, right? So
Now that you put it
I have
that
been
way.
saying that for years. Like, before me and my husband got together, I mean, I realized that a long time ago. Like, why would I limit my? It's like I didn't even realize that I had just been socialized to just not even think about dating any other kind of guy, right? And then I'm like, why am I limiting my life to possibly find the happiness or whatever to just over something as arbitrary as that? Like, what is
Right.
it benefiting me actually? Like, what is that?
So I
Right.
got a
What were
question.
you gonna
Been
say,
indoctrinated
Darwin?
that way just to feel like, you know, this is what you do. Don't even look that way, right?
Yeah.
And then, like I said, you create an environment of men where they just like, yeah, you over here with us, you ain't going nowhere. We all good. You know?
So when,
I feel like if anything more, it can create a more competitive environment if more
Okay.
women would do it.
so when you black women are challenging these men to change, or to have some type of accountability, to look within themselves and make some changes, do black women actually have the patience and the understanding to see these men through to the changes? Because I'm just saying this because with my experience with my wife, she had a lot of patience with me. And she used to tell me all the time, like, you need to look within yourself. You always talking about these women that's doing the XYZ, you still getting the same women. Maybe it's you. and she challenged me to do this, and I did that. And I think the only reason I'm able to see things a certain way, sometimes I still have problems seeing things, but she still, understanding with me. But she has patience, and she allowed me to mess up, and didn't, like, even if she like got on me, she explained to me like what's going on, and like she was my counsel. And I think a lot of black women, they always telling the man like, you need to do this, you need to do that, but they don't help them through it. And I know y'all gonna say, well, we don't need to, they grown. But if you want to see someone change, and they don't know how, and they don't even understand what's going on.
Are men receptive to that?
Are they motivated?
Are they receptive to a woman telling them, oh, this isn't right? Because from what my interactions with a lot of men on these social media platforms is that no, you need to be quiet, listen, you're wrong, let me tell you how you wrong.
Right.
I think that's a specific group that you're talking about, though. So what I'm saying is, that's a specific.
You're talking about guys outside of a specific group.
So like me, like if I know I was able to see some things, and I'm able to take advice from women, and I'm able to see the flaws in myself.
I think you more able to take advice from me specifically. You can't just say women. You wasn't out here just taking advice from women.
Janelle, also women that I respect.
Right.
Yeah, but that's
I don't know how many men.
How many women have you? Okay, but how many women have you dated that you had that type of respect for, that you actually?
Not a lot.
Exactly, that's what I mean. So you can't just be like. So were those women supposed to sit there and hold your hand and be patient with you?
I didn't expect them to, because I didn't want to. This the thing. I didn't expect them to, because I didn't want to be with them. So I didn't care about changing. Like
right. So then how to
change for you?
But I guess that's what I mean. So how would you expect a woman to gauge a man that cares about changing versus one who doesn't? We're talking about,
because
they just bounce out like, oh, he don't want to change.
It's gonna be in his actions. It's gonna be in his actions. I think a lot of women, they invest a lot into a man that ain't never invested into them anyways. Like I see it happen all the time. I see women doing way more for men in the beginning stages of a relationship than they doing for them. And maybe because a woman they only expect for a man to pay for dinners and stuff like that. So they feel like, oh, he did this. And I know a lot of women go off there like, girl, he did this. That might be little for him. That $1,000 dinner might not be nothing to him. Giving you value for shoes might not be nothing to him. But to you be like, oh, he did this. That means he cared for me. And I think a lot of women also get trapped into those gender roles, into that stereotype of what a man's supposed to do too, without them even knowing. Because I don't see how a lot of women be falling so heavily invested into these men that's not doing nothing, not making no sacrifices, not doing a lot of things for them. And I think it's just
why they do it. I can see why they do it,
because there's not any competition from, and so those are the men that are showing up by and large, because the market is in their favor.
And so basically, Darwin, some women are not taught on quote unquote how a man is supposed to show up. Like, like when I met my husband, I was what you call green from the farm. I was very green. I was 18. I was, fresh, never been away from home, go off to college, bam. Hey, it's a dude. He liked me, So it's really about what you're taught, because I think some women, they don't get some of the lessons that we've talked about on the show that we feel like our sisters should get, about self-worth, self-esteem, that there are certain things that you should be getting when you're dating a gentleman or a man or whatever. Some of them are not taught that. So then when they meet these guys, they all excited because some of them are getting the attention that maybe at home they didn't get, or, I know women who grew up in single parent homes where it's just them, maybe their sisters, their mom, where the mom maybe didn't even date while they were living at home, and just the sheer, presence of a guy in their life, they just get excited. This is different. And so then when you're excited, it's like, you may not know.
So excited and thirsty.
Be sure to join us live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time.